We are off on our way to the autumn TLI, and because it's a Friday we've got the bandstand. It will be almost certainly a tribute band, because that is what Eastbourne is known for. Well, it's tribute bandstand. No? I don't know what it's supposed to be. Some people still in the dining room. Hello.
Who's chasing you?
Hello. Hello. Oh, it's me. Thanks.
Oh my God! You know what? I was
Hello. Oh, hello.
Hi, how you doing? All right?
Wonderful, thanks.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah, thanks.
She's
Nice seeing you.
downstairs.
Well, my friend Emma.
No, Ange.
Oh, Angie. Oh, yes. No, I've got to wait for
She's
Emma.
downstairs, so you'll see her.
Because I'm going to
She's
arrange
downstairs, okay?
membership for the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, I will do. I'll be down there. Thanks. Oh, does it need to be? Cidery. And of course Lola, which could be called the transvestites' national anthem. I know there were problems with feminists in the 80s who disapproved of it, and now some TS activists disapprove of it, but I don't think it's really about TSs. I think it's really about gay TVs that you had in the club scene in the 60s, and I'm rather fond of it, a lot of it fond of it, and one of the girls here is actually called Lola, so we make a habit of playing it. And Emma was here. This, of course, for her is her working clothes, because Emma actually is a working magician. And I've always been rather fond of this one. I like it. One of the nice things about these TLI evenings, because I only go for the evenings, is it's got two sides to it. You've got the dance floor downstairs, and then upstairs you can sit and chat to people in the lounge, and it's really the perfect arrangement, I think, for this kind of event. Well, it's my first night out dancing since I got my new specs, and I thought it might be a bit of a problem, but it wasn't. So I'm getting used to them, I think. I hope so. So quite a nice little first TLI evening. And this is, I think, the first time I've been to TLI, and I haven't needed a coat or jacket. It was deliciously warm.
Slight disagree.
And I'm always very torn at these events about whether I want to stay upstairs and have a parlour or go downstairs for a jugger, because I do like to dance. I think it's one of the things T-girls do really well. It's a big part of what we're about. And I remember once going to an all T-girl Northern Soul event. It was not very well attended, but it was extremely good. And Emma, of course, will be here because this is a 60s themed night. And if you're talking about the 60s, you're talking about Emma, although she is in fact slightly younger than me, but she's very interested in that whole period and has quite a lot to say about it. She's a little bit of an expert on 60s pop culture. Bit of a ska person myself, but I'd like some Buster. I'd like to hear Don't Throw Stones at this point. I think that would be, which is really just a version of Perhaps. In fact, I think he did also record it as Perhaps. And we're now coming on to a bit of rock and roll. Now that always makes me think of work on Fridays, because my boss, he's an old teddy boy and he plays a lot of rock and roll, and it always makes the day go a bit better. Another fancy dress competition, and this time the theme is the best 60s costume, which is a very good one for us. It was a good time for ladies fashion, good time for gents fashion, but a very good time for ladies fashion as well. Air piano, a new concept to me. Air guitar, yes, but first time I've seen air piano.
Who are you?
Has everybody entered now?
Yeah, we've all been round.
Emma Peel costume, which she actually hand-tailored the whole thing, even the coat.
The union's up in there. I've got to take a 2-minute break now, so I'll leave you in the kitchen lounge with Stacey.
And the trouble is, these weekends are always over far too fast, and it's Friday already, but we've got another evening of fun. Sorry, hello.
Oh my God, she's come with her selfie stick.
Oh, we have.
You've been doing a video on the way down.
Oh, yeah.
Hi there.
Thanks. I'm actually early for once, I'm usually late. This one always takes me back to being a kid in the 70s and makes me feel quite young, but typically being Eastbourne, we've decided to play Saturday Night Fever on Sunday night. And this last evening, it's always nice to have a last chat with friends like Angela, because I won't be meeting the TLI people face to face again until March. And their last fancy dress competition. Very interesting things like the two Abigails and the character from Shrek. I thought that was very imaginative. Apparently Angela is Lady Gaga, hence the Janus Two-Face thing, which I didn't get because I don't really keep up with pop culture. I think the last thing I was aware of was Britpop about 20 years ago. Oh, a Cher. An interesting Cher. A last little bit of a jugger, a bit of a boogie, before going back to real life on Monday. It's been a very, very nice weekend, and it's made me feel a lot younger. TLI often does that for me, and that's quite important, because being a T-girl in Eastbourne is fabulous, but this is like a little holiday for me.